Hello, back again for another devlog entry. Um, so the big hang up I'm having is trying to figure out how to deal with layered portraits. So, big spoiler, I'm using BlazBlue sprites to sort of make a little secret ending, whatever. But, so what's happening here is that, these assets that I was able to download for BlazBlue, uh, it consists of, can I just open this? That's not exactly what I wanted to see. Basically, the assets, I can probably just go here. So this isn't just one big image. This is actually two images of the base. Like, this is how the assets came. This is the base, which is a faceless portrait. And then you load in different expressions. Because if I do this and I highlight, oh yeah, I can highlight all this. You can see how it falls right off. I had to go in, place it exactly to the pixel. This is what I have to offset it from here. So if you zoom in, you can sort of see some distortion. Maybe it might not come out, but you can kind of see right here. But if you zoom out, you really have to look for it in order to even see it. But this is the problem that I'm currently coming across, because when I go to Dialogic, the way how I'm supposed to update a portrait layer, because you see this layered portrait, that's how all of these characters, they're set to layered portrait, which is supposed to be that you can call in different assets at a time from here. So when I go into and play the story, join Ragnar joins, and then as he talks, I'm supposed to update this extra data. So set Ragnar, eyes closed, space to mouth open. So if I go to main portrait, Ragnar, eyes closed, space, mouth open. So the reason why these eyes are closed is because it's hiding that it's hiding that expression. So when I call this, it opens that expression. It makes it visible. The problem that I'm coming across is that, so like, that's this one. This comes above. So when I call this one for eyes closed, base, mouth closed, it's going to try and open this one, but because code reads from top to bottom, this is still visible. It is not toggling this to be off. So, like, you can kind of see actually, so like if I do this expression is up first. If I do this, see how kind of this expression is also open, like visible? This is not affecting because it is going from top to bottom. So any of these that I open up, you see the expression is not changing, but if I go below, well, all right. So I need to open this up, make that visible, and then see how now it's updating here. So that's currently my issue. I have entered the Dialogic Discord to try and hopefully get an answer on how to fix this, because I've messed with a ton of things. You can see here I put everything into one, so that's why this thing is a massive list. I've tried making each one an individual layer. So like the annoyed expression is specifically handled by this smaller section so that I'm not constantly overlapping, the same thing on the same portrait. But even when I do that, like Ragnar annoyed, this still does not even, it doesn't work. like the same problem I'm having with like the mouth open, mouth closed kind of thing is still happening. I'm not exactly sure where I'm messing up. I've tried coming over here for ordering Z index that, well, this is say the order in which a node is drawn, so a node with a higher Z index will display in front of others. So I've tried having it where it's like, I've done it both ways where this node is Z as relative. I've tried doing it where the bottom node is the top index where I boosted it up twice, so then it might overpower this when I call it, but it still does not solve the main issue that whatever is called later makes it so then this is visible and I cannot toggle it off. Maybe there is a specific way to do that, but I don't know how to do that. So I have tried asking the Discord to see if they can give me help. But regardless of that, I have not been solely struggling to do this. I have implemented. Ooh, where is it? So yeah, I've implemented a credit scene. I basically implemented a main menu. Now, if I can just find that. It's not main. Start screen. There it is. So I've made it so then this is the first thing that pops up. I've added a beginning fade, so when I start the project, it fades in, makes it feel a little more professional. I've added music to the main thing, which is something I've had to call in. It's not handled by Dialogic and like something like this where I call it in here. I've actually had to call it into the code. So yeah, audio stream player. I put the BlazBlue title screen music on here and I've called it in. And then, ready function. So ready function means that it starts at the beginning. I can maybe do that. I don't know how the mix is going to be for that. For most music, I've had to actually lower the volume in game because everything is just intensely loud. But yeah, the ready function calls it at the beginning whenever you start the scene, and I have it that immediately it plays whatever this file is, and then I have it looping, so then when it stops, it restarts. But yeah, I basically came up with a stupid title, credits, purchase done by. I'm still waiting to see how they want to be credited as. Music, Arturo Riera, I believe his name is. And then extra music from the BlazBlue series, because you're listening to it now, that's BlazBlue. Background art, all the background art is from BlazBlue. Sound effects, I got a bunch of things from zapsplat.com, and then there's a giant file of sound effects from Velcro that I got. And characters, select a character to learn about them. So I have a little portrait and then a little description of what, their personality and then what they're doing in the story. I'm sure if I wanted to make this a little better, because like if I go here, you can see the portrait is zoomed in because he's a smaller kid and his hands out. So this, in a different kind of game, this might, well, the way how I have things set up, this might actually just pop off screen, like over here in the window. So, there's definitely flaws with this system, but it works for what I have. If I wanted to, I could actually, what I'd probably do, characters, open this scene. What I'd probably do is that I have everything in this HBox container. I would probably make, you know what, maybe I can't do that. But I'd probably make another just HBox container and have it set so over here so then it's not reliant on, like, so yeah. It's not reliant on whatever is in between here. Because right now, HBox container means that it places everything in a horizontal container, and then I have a VBox container. So yeah, right here, this is the first set of the VBox container. You can see it's highlighted. The next one, there's nothing here because I currently had this blank white. Yeah, I have this blank white that I have fully transparent, so then it's not just a white screen on here, so it doesn't show. Well, actually, here, this is how it's supposed to look like. I have this texture visible off, so then when I play the game, this isn't just a fucking flashbang to your face. And I have it that every time I click on a character, it's updating the texture rec. Yeah. I have the texture rec visible true because originally this is off, so this is turning this back on. And then I'm calling the texture for the base sprite. And then I update the label text, which is originally, so like, ooh, see? I did not update the label text when I left, so this is still the same, but select character and learn more about them. So when it loads this label, this is the first thing it does, and when I do this label text, I am overwriting this label text to be the description of the character. But, this is a good step in terms of like menuing, in terms of setting up a UI, and like, it's a good step for polishing a game to look as good as it needs to be, give that professional look. Because before it was definitely like, oh, this is whatever, this is sort of jarring, but now I have it so that it's like slightly structured to be a bit more professional looking and polished. So, it feels much more like a game. But currently, what I'm waiting on to finish this is trying to get this to work so then I am not overwriting an expression when I want to call in an expression from above. I've tried many different ways and I'm simply at a loss. So I'm hoping to eventually get someone to reply to me. It's been 3 days, unfortunately. I don't know if I'm going to get an answer. I've seen a few other more recent posts get answers, but I don't know if it's I didn't explain it well enough, or if no one actually knows what I'm trying to get at, or how to solve my issue. I would think someone might know. Otherwise, probably the most annoying thing that I'd probably have to do is import all of these as individual files on I would have to manually do this outside and just save the PNG as this file, so then everything's more in line with how I have these, where it's just, it's just a full portrait from the start. The expressions are a part of the full portrait, and, ideally you don't want to do that because changing just the expression, you have a bunch more smaller files. Each one of these files is probably like 10 megabytes, which bulks up the size of whatever this is, of whatever this project is. Meanwhile, with these, these smaller expressions, can it show me? Memory. So like, memory 162 kilobytes, and then memory 4 megabytes. So like, actually, yeah. So you can tell just by calling in the big body here, it does a lot more. It's a lot more to keep track of in terms of the memory, of how much it's demanding of the computer. Not that this technically matters for what I'm doing now, but if I were to use this method in a later game, it might lead to something like hitching, where it's trying to load these big portraits or bigger portraits at a time. So It's basically a best practice kind of thing. I don't need to exactly follow it for what I'm doing, but this is something I'd like to know because I know a lot of people or a lot of games, including BlazBlue, that's how they do it here. They do that kind of stuff. So I'd like to get there. But that's pretty much it. I'm hoping that I can get a reply. I will be pretty busy, honestly, with like the next 2 to 3 weeks. Someone asked me to cover them for overtime, so I'm covering them at work, which will lead to me maybe falling a bit behind, but I'm hoping eventually I'll get it done because I'm ready to move on to the next thing. That's probably what I'll be trying to brainstorm now that I got this sort of thing. I can use Dialogic as like a base. So like, do I have the main scene? I don't have the main scene. So like right now the main scene, this is what loads up first. The first thing it does at the start is that's right. No, I have the start screen. This is the start. So do I even need this main scene anymore? Whatever. Problems for me later. But it's basically I've got a base for how to tell stories. Now I want to include a bit of gameplay, like true, you know, outside of visual novels. Making choices in a visual novel is the gameplay of it, but something akin to like Coffee Talk or Valhalla, Cyberpunk Bartender, where it's like minimal inputs to actually make something somewhat engaging, where it's like you talk to people and then you might be prompted to hit someone by clicking on the screen or something like that. It's just so basically incorporating gameplay elements to the next project. So that'll probably be what I'm thinking of next time instead of rambling now, but that'll be what I look forward to doing. So until next time.